meeting recording. Uh-oh, we got a problem. And you're trying to kill me back.
Uh-oh, artwork.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So, approval amendment of meeting agenda items.
I move to approve the meeting agenda items for May 11th, 2022 board meeting as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the meeting agenda items of May 11th, 2022 as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of minutes.
Go ahead, Darwin.
I wasn't at that meeting, but I was gonna second.
Okay, I move to approve the minutes of the April 13th, 2022 board meeting as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the April 13th, 2022 board meeting as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Good news.
Well, good news, I'll start off right here on the screen here, is I'd like to introduce Dr. Lloyd Hartley. He's our new special ed director. He came in last week and he bought a house down the road, so him and his family have been moving here. So introduce Dr. Hartley.
Welcome.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome.
Yeah, it's great to visit last week, and I'll be down and again. I'll be over in a couple more weeks. So it's been a great transition so far.
Great, thank you.
I just want to introduce him and then start off with all the fun stuff. Well, behind me is a circus, so I just wanted to mention that. So we got Dusty Counts is going to be our ringleader in the second show, the first show, excuse me, and then we got Donna Palmer for the medical, is going to be the ringmaster, and the third show I have Barry, but he has not committed yet. All that. But it's kind of fun, so we're pretty excited about the circus coming to town.
What kind of hat do you get to wear?
They give you the cape and everything. You're styling. You're styling. If you just say yes, we got you. And then want to mention the ESD budget. Oh, that's my report, so I make sure I get the right good news stuff. So that's the circus, and then I want to talk about we're working on the second apartment. To clean it up so we can get a rental for our teacher. We already have one person to rent the first one, so that's going to be great. The gym honker court is going to be covered here in the second week of June, so we're closing it down. It's going to take us about 2.5 weeks. We're going to take it down as far as we can get it, and do it right. And we're putting some very expensive oil-based laminate on it to make sure we get as much wear of it and make it sticky for the first time in a while.
So you applied for the Nike grant?
Yeah.
Did we hear back?
Not yet.
Okay.
And my goal is we won't get that in the fall anyway, but I think we're going to get it. So.
Okay.
And then I got the clean air grant I put in for, so that will allow us to get a new roof. So I get the roof on first before we put floor.
Oh, perfect.
So that's the plan. So we're gonna make sure I keep you addressed with that. Let's see, reception. So, I was invited to speak at the Admiral's Lunch in Fleet Week on June 10th.
Oh, that's exciting.
I'll be speaking to all the admirals from the 7th Fleet, which is half the world for the Navy. So it's a pretty big honor. So I just wanted I had to tell you. So it's kind of fun. So I don't know what I'm going to talk about yet, but it's going to be fun. No, I've had the opportunity to work with the Navy in some of the leadership trainings and some of the ships and things over the years, and now they've asked me to come speak. So I'll be there on the 10th. And there's a big reception that evening. So I want to look forward to.
Nice call.
It's a nice compliment. So very pleased about that. So that's the good news. Would you like me to go to reports?
Surely.
So, okay, good. We had Jen Swartz here, and she's come working. She came to work 3 days with us last year. We have, last week, and we had Dr. Hartley come, and we also had, we have a subpoena that's a state subpoena from the Attorney General. So it's to all SPED audits about kids being in transition. So we worked on that immensely. That we're hoping to get that turned in by the end of next week. But that's all, the entire state got subpoenaed that. So it's a lot of work. We're piecemealing it. Dr. Hartley did some work on it, and Jen did one look at some files for us to make sure we're done all the way through, and so is our principal. So I want to say thank you, but it's a big thing we have to do. I also want to mention that the budget, Janet will talk a little about when we get here, I have 17 point something million dollars, 17.2 something. She'll have the exact number for it with us a little later, or getting close. But the ESD budget, they gave us an ESD budget of $115,000 for each position. And I sent that email out to the board, but I want to publicly say that, an email reply back. So we built it at what they told us. They were trying to change it yesterday, so it's a little late. But we already built it that way. So we'll make the adjustment based on what we finally get. And then we'll deal with it in the future. So I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that to you, not trying to be negative, but to make sure you understand that we're there. Today we had a training, and it was really great training. We had Scott Nye, the Deputy Superintendent of Oregon Department of Ed, and Scott presented at our conference in Shalishan, and he came back and presented that with his team. So we got a lot of new stuff there. So Mr. Louis' new position was discussed of how that's going to work. And that was really great for him to be there, and Mr. Stratton was there. So we're really excited about what this is going to look like in the future. So we'll keep you posted as we move forward. And that was there. Then I got to speak at the senior lunch, so I get to run some of our seniors. We have 54 graduating seniors. I don't want to steal thunder, but it was really a great opportunity, and it was really nice. And I publicly want to thank the Lions Club and the Rotary for putting that on. It was a great event. So about 6 of our kids won some big cash, so that's pretty nice. So that's all I have, Madam Chairman. Any questions for me?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay.
Public comments?
We do not have any.
All right, so on to reports. So first we have the Honor Society, and it doesn't look like Mrs. Schulenberger is here. I'm guessing she's watching softball. But we have Wyatt and Luis.
Yeah.
All right, you guys are up.
So, I'm Wyatt Patsky, I'm the co-president of Lakeview Honor Society.
And I'm Luis Villalobos, and I'm the other side, co-president.
Alright, so a little background on Honor Society. The Lakeview Honor Society is a group of sophomores, juniors, and seniors that must qualify for membership. Our membership requirements are a 3.5 GPA or higher. They must complete at least 20 hours of community service in the school year, and they must be a chairperson of one of our committees. Most of our members exceed these requirements by a substantial amount, and currently we have 32 members, which I think is an all-time high. We'd like to give an update on our projects for the 2021 to 2022 school year. The first one that we had on the list is induction, which was held April 13th of 2022 this year. And we inducted 2 juniors and 14 sophomores this year, which was crazy. The next one was the American Red Cross Blood Drive. It was a new project for Honor Society to take on, but it's been going on at LHS for a while. The Honor Society was most specifically Sophie Stewart and Bridget Schulenberger, who both chaired the committee and managed to get volunteers to work on it in May, and they're signing up for donors from LHS during that time. The Red Cross also sponsors a scholarship for students who donate the most pints of blood, which that's been, I think, tallied up or figured out. And then we have a community service leader who is Jayla Jackson. She's our community coordinator, more specifically. And she sets up a bunch of volunteering opportunities. An example of that is this Thursday, we have a senior mother's luncheon, which juniors are helping with. And we are also helping out at the carnival tomorrow. We also put on the dodgeball tournament, which we had 17 teams, which is up 8 teams from last year, which is awesome. There's a ton of community support, and our high school boys actually won that this year. We have the Noni Scholarship, which we upped to $800 this year, and it is given to an LHS senior. The money generated from the Sunflower for Noni Run. This year, there will be 2 seniors who are the recipients of this award, and they must write a 300 to 500 word essay from the quote, "Every sunrise reminds us to lighten up for the world of laughs and flowers, and she must smile in the sunshine," by Nikki Tajari. They have until May 20th to get that written and turned in.
And then we have the color run, which is actually the 5th year that we're going to have the color run, and it's going to be on June 5th, 2022. We put application at the front office of the high school and at the Chamber of Commerce. We were going to bring some here, but I completely forgot to grab them, sorry. And the deadline to register we put as May 16th to be guaranteed a t-shirt, but you can register after that, you just won't be guaranteed a t-shirt. Prices are $25 for a community member and $20 for a DMS and LHS student. The 4-H Run program, which is, I believe, is Girls Go Run, actually helped our numbers last year, and we hope that they do the same this year. And the committee of 12 to 15 does everything from ordering T-shirts to porta potties to communicating with ODOT and town council about route changes. And then we actually had a new one this year at the Christmas parade, which was held on November 30th, and we had a goal of 20 floats, which we exceeded by a few numbers. We had a ton of community support and something we plan on continuing in future years. And also donkey basketball, we brought that back and we tried to raise money to refurbish the gym, which is still being decided on what we're actually going to be using that money for. And we raised around $2,000. There were 8 community teams, and the donkeys came all the way from Washington, and it got the community together. Not a fun event there. We also helped out at the food share. We volunteered during Thanksgiving and Christmas to help distribute food to the community. And other events that we put on to boost school spirit and help around the school were Clover Days, Bulletin Boards, the Treat Days, Appreciation Weeks, Pink Out, Book Drive. We appreciate the support from Mrs. Holzman and our advisor, Mrs. Schillenberger, and we wouldn't have been able to do these projects without them. Are there any questions that you guys have for us?
No, I think it's exciting. There's new blood and the numbers are up, and my favorites are, dodgeball and donkey basketball.
Well, they do a lot of service things to the community. It's really, the nice thing about it is they have a great reputation for following through. And I think that's true.
Well, and the other new thing that I think the community really enjoyed was the Christmas parade.
Yes.
That was
That
awesome.
was a hit.
Yeah, we'll have a hard time getting rid of that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be there for a while.
That's good. That's good. That's a great tradition to start.
Thank you, good job.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I also learned today that Wyatt is going to be the valedictorian.
I was gonna mention it.
Oh,
that's right.
Thank you.
Working on a speech.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and do that now. Alright, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, so on to youth employment and alt ed update. And we have Sean and Chalice. Are you sure? There's a lot, okay.
I
Oh, you have
waited
a
till the
lot?
end of the year to let you know everything that's been going on.
Yeah.
So, originally we partnered with COIC for alternative education in 2017-18. That was dissolved, so we reabsorbed it. And it, first the students had to go completely over there. It was completely separate from Lakeview High School. Steve Prock called it Ted and Ned's Grand Adventures. Well, after that, it turned into a class period where students just had credit recovery to get credits back and then continue throughout. So this first semester, we still continued with that format and then restructured it completely to be an alternative education program again. So currently we have 18 students enrolled. We have 3 early graduates, 2 of which are not included in that 18. One has joined the Air Force and one is working at Collins Pines, and Sean helped that student complete their application resume and get that in. And then we have one that moved out to Denio to work on ranch management, so working out there. We created a brand new schedule, so the students are all inclusive, similar to an elementary classroom, Monday through Thursday, 8:30 to 2:30 with a late start and early release. And no school Friday, but that didn't really work out in my favor because I was just going to take all my preps on Friday. They like being there on Friday, so they're there on Friday. So we're looking at restructuring that for next year to build in an actual prep, so that there is time to do all the work for work program and alt ed. But the good news is they are not deterred. They will still be here. And then for our very first quarter, not even semester, the students finished 34 semester courses. The 18 students finished 34 of those. And they're on track to finish probably about half that again this second quarter, but we're losing steam a little bit in the spring. One of our seniors retrieved 12 credits to graduate on time this year, so a total of 12 credits.
Fabulous.
So that's 24 semester courses, which included after work program hours as well to get some of those elective credits. So this kid was working probably 12 to 14 hours a day to try to get these credits retrieved. For parent-teacher conferences, 17 out of the 18 parents had a phone contact or came in person, and the 18th person did contact me and say they weren't able to make it, and that student came in and held their own conference, which is huge for this population because a lot of it's very difficult for parents to be involved, but I noticed that when you're more flexible with the hours, they're able to make it. So I met at my lunch, I met in the morning, I met in the evening. I didn't keep it just to the conference days. I started earlier in the week. And then at phone conferences when possible. I work with not only youth employment, but also Jim Nickel, youth investment. He brings in donuts, he pulls the kids aside. A lot of the kids we share that he works with. So we work together in building those soft skills and those social emotional skills. And then Sean helps me get them jobs in service learning. So I also am work program supervisor, so that kind of flows together. But some of these kids are too young to work, so we have expanded our service learning program and we have them volunteering. And then through the OICC grant, we're going to give them a stipend for a successful end of semester completion per period. Per class period, we're going to give them $100. So we're working on that, and that goes towards their elective credits, which is difficult for these kids to get being in alt ed because there's not a lot of online options. They took a field trip to Bend. Brave Sean took these kids on a bus all the way to Bend, and Jim met him up there, and they took him to a vocational field trip to learn about trades. And then as far as curriculum goes, we use 2 online systems. One is Orbid, which has certified content teachers attached to it, and it goes really in depth with a short amount of information. And then we have Edgenuity, which is our online Lakeview Academy program, and then I'm able to oversee that. And the benefit of that, it's really flexible. I can enroll, unenroll, go over questions with them and corrections. And I also met with the state alternative education specialists to make sure all our programs are meeting the requirements that we need. One area that we're working on in the works in the future is CTE. For our graduation requirements, it's 3 credits of CTE, which is difficult for some of our students because the online options are limited and not engaging, and then in person, they clearly struggle with in person. So some of those, forcing them to go in person is setting them up for failure. So I'm working with the state to expand options there. One is we're partnering with KCC Construction Apprenticeship to come over 2 times a week, 3 to 4 hours a day, and work with those kids and get a CTE credit that way and an apprenticeship when they're done. We're also working to make work program count for CTE credits through working with our culinary and our CTE programs we have already. We're also working, Sean and I, on making PE service learning work as well for us. So having kids receive PE credit for helping the elderly, disabled, and those in need in our community with yard work, housework, and then tracking those hours and counting them for PE credit. So that's in the works. And then integrating health, making health really matter for my alt ed kids. So family addiction, mental health, bringing in guest speakers throughout the year. And at the end of the year, they'll get that half a credit instead of just taking a health class. Make it work for them and what they need to do, and then count the time that they meet with Jim Nickel, youth investment, on the things that they work on and journal that, so we can count that towards a health credit. And then finally, working on bringing more math options, because after geometry, it's algebra 2 or financial math. So expanding that to possibly having a construction math, and then getting more math support push into the classroom, because that's where I see a lot of students struggle and end up having a lot of those credits at the end to catch up in. For 2022-2023, we have 16 students currently enrolled, even though we're losing 4 seniors this year, not including the early graduates. And then we have a waiting list. So I think that's a testament to it's a lot of high expectations for academic requirement, and kids still want in and they don't want to leave. And also we're keeping it at 16, even though we could go 18. Because we want to make sure if there's a transfer or an emergency situation that we have those spaces for those students. Then for work program and career ed, we're working on a CNA summer course between KCC and Lake District Hospital. And when kids finish that CNA program, then the hospital has already agreed to bring them into a work program at the Lakeview Gardens and work with us on different periods. And then that same apprenticeship through construction, we're working to integrate that into Mr. Bickerman's class. And then I have some numbers just really quickly. So I have some testimony, and you can read those of kids and why they want to stay in this class. I just pulled a couple just to highlight. So the first student had 106 unexcused period absences in semester 1 in person. Then they moved to alt ed, and they are to 30 unexcused absences for this semester so far. And I counted up to date days. That is a 12% increase in attendance. second student, impressively, 229 unexcused period absences, and down to 77. So that's a 24% increase in attendance. And if you also look at their class completion, so I put what they passed in semester 1. So first student, 3 classes passed, and now they have already completed 2 and are on track to finish 4 more. The final student, I didn't put attendance just because it wasn't an issue for this student, but last semester they passed 2 classes, and this semester they have already passed 6 classes, and they're on track to finish 4 more. 1 more actually this week. So
Caught up.
yeah, so my goal was to have most of them up to grade level, and with a range of couple here and there, they will be. I have had some that have had really difficult home lives this last few weeks, so the data doesn't show that in behavior and social emotional learning, but they've really become a family and they encourage each other, and even on days when it's really hard, and they say, I just showed up, and really for a lot of them that's enough, and that they're there and they're working on those skills, and they're starting to hold each other accountable and have an identity for themselves. That was a lot. Do you have any questions?
It sounds like you're doing a fabulous job. Kind of
Absolutely.
pulling them all together and
Yeah.
giving them an identity and a home. And, you know, for a lot of those that all they did was show up, they probably needed to show up to get out of their other environment.
Yeah.
So, I
That's
mean,
why
it
they like to
sounds
be
like
here on
it's.
Friday.
That's,
I'm like,
yeah,
guys, I need a day to work, but it's okay.
and that's,
No,
that's a
and-
credit to the program that they want to be here
Sounds,
Friday.
yeah, fabulous.
They want to be in school more and they're showing some success, so great job.
Definitely, and a lot of them want to work, so I'm working on trying to expand that so that they can work, because a lot of them, especially the early graduates, are supporting themselves and their families,
Right.
and so how can I get them to work sooner and still give them their credits and help them do that? So that's one of my goals, and working with Sean and in the community is to get more of those opportunities.
Well, and that's the one thing I think right now, and then you see it when you go anywhere, but even here in Lakeview, there's a lot of jobs out there at this point in time. Great.
Here, Sean, all you.
Hey, I just had 2 quick topics to share. So a couple weeks ago, I was able to take the juniors to Kingsley field trip. Cody Blair went with me, and this ended up being a really great experience. I mean, female, male, interested in the military, it didn't matter. This was for everybody. We were escorted right in through the gates, went right out to the landing strip, and the jets were literally taking off over our heads. So that just started it out. Kids were just in awe. I was too. From there, we went on into the base, and they were able to actually show us every single shop that they run with inside that base. It's basically a small community in Kingsley Field. There's everything from people working on the engine only to the gun only. They all have specific jobs. They were able to explain all the details of each job to these kids. By the time we left there, a lot of kids were really interested in what they had to offer. So it was a great experience. The Air Force has a huge food budget, so we had Domino's pizza, hot wings, everything you could imagine. Everything about it was fun. It was cool. So I just wanted to share that. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the summer enrichment program. That is all our work crews that are going to be going on this summer. So we have interviewed all the summer work crew kids. They are interviewed and hired and ready to go, and that'll be the OIC crew. The other group of kids that we just wrapped up and interviewed and hired are the lifeguards up the pool. Good group of kids are going there. Pretty good sized group too, so they should have plenty of help up there. And we're working on the CNA project. Chalice is kind of ramrodding that, and I think 10 kids.
Yeah, they're gonna do max 10 kids for the CNA, so they're gonna come speak at the school. And then for the summer program, just because I forgot, we're enrolling them all into a quarter credit of career and personal finance. and then they can then log their like PPE training and all that experience to get another elective credit. And then for some of our students that are deficient in PE, they're gonna log their physical activity hours for these very physically demanding jobs and then help them get credit that way as well.
And all these kids in the summer enrichment program also are going to get, is it quarter credit?
Yeah.
Plus pay. So, and that's through the Avid program.
Through the Edgenuity all
Ingenuity.
day. Yeah.
So it's a pretty good setup for them. They're getting a paycheck in credit. So we're excited about that. And that's all I have for you guys.
All right, thank you.
Busy,
Exciting stuff.
busy group. It's good.
It's so nice to actually have a meeting in person and things happening that are positive and not just worried about damn math.
They're always happening, we just don't see them all the time.
These two have done a really good job. Really pleased. And it's got a can-do attitude. So.
It's been busy. Yeah. See you next year, we'll update you again. Actually, I'll try to come more, okay?
Are you working at all with Claire Thomas with his group that does the
So he's not here this summer with them, but I did meet with Nick.
Okay.
And that is a neat program.
Yeah, I didn't know if they were asking you for help for
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah, that's a
For
really
you
good
guys.
And I like it's science
About
based.
fiscal monitoring.
Yeah. So it would be very educational.
Now that we have some of the base, again, of rebuilding these programs, we're hoping to get out in the community more and make even more connections and opportunities, so we don't miss anything and we can connect kids where it would be really good for them.
All right, great, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Have a good evening, sir.
Okay, principal reports.
You're looking at me, so I
How
know.
about you, Ms. Porter?
Sounds great. Good evening. One of the first things I wanted to say is that I am so thankful that we have this Sean and Chalice team because Jim Nichols now working in the elementary schools. They can't officially enroll our students in anger management classes until they're the age of 12, but he is spending extra time coming down working with some of our at-risk youth, starting at 10 years old. And he plays football with them. He has permission slips where he can take them for after-school activities and give them some real positive interaction, sometimes physical, where they're, rock climbing. They've done all kinds of different things. And I think we're fortunate to have these extra things going on for those kids. So I'd like to start tonight with just kind of some updates on lots of events. I know we've got lots to go through, so I think there's an agreement to talk really fast tonight. We did PBIS assemblies for the end of April. We had Teacher Appreciation Week where we visited with our teachers and made sure that they know how much we appreciate all the extra things that they do for them. They had tons of food all week and gifts and things like that. We had Skeeter the Clown come and see all of our schools on the 4th. We also had a play and a concert out at Union called the Spring Fling. We held 6th grade orientation up at Hillary's house for 6th graders. We did kindergarten transition meetings on May 6th, which means we meet with ESD and do transitions for students on IEPs coming in as kindergartners this fall. This week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, our 6th grade teachers were fortunate enough to do outdoor school. Some of those little people were coming to school in shorts and going to the woods for the day. And we're like, oh, we gotta find some sweats or something, Bonnie, to help them out. They did stay yesterday because they were going toward Dairy Creek yesterday. And so we made the decision to keep them home yesterday. But they were at Chandler today, I think. The circus is here tomorrow. Our kids are really excited. They've got free popcorn certificates all over the place so that they can get a little free bag of popcorn at the circus. Our 6th graders in town with Suzanne Davis are doing a concert on May 17th, a spring concert. The 17th and 19th is kindergarten roundup. We are doing 4 sessions for Fremont in town and then 1 for Union on the 17th. That's out there. We're also hosting a tour for the Head Start kids, which we haven't done in several years, but we are working with Stephanie Appel at Head Start and just having a really positive interaction and great relationship building there to bring those kids over. I think we're supplying a bus because they don't have transportation to go over there and do that. I'm shaking my head looking at you. She's like,
I don't know. You can find a bus, it's just if you can find a driver.
yeah, that's the problem too. I think. Well, I bet Mr. Carter would haul some little pre-kinders over if he had time.
May 19th, our third graders are going out to the horse facility and visiting that out there. May 24th, we're pretty excited to bring a Teen Truth Assembly for our 4th through 6th graders. We are experiencing some bullying and harassment at different times and also some vaping. And so this Teen Truth Assembly targets whatever you ask them to do. And so they will be talking about bullying and harassment and also some vaping issues because we're seeing more of those at the elementary school. We start intervention meetings around May 24th. What that means is we will look at all of our spring data that we've collected from EasyCBM. We will place those kids into intervention groups for reading and math so that the first week of school we are ready to go and they know what groups they're going into so we can start those interventions in the fall. Ag Awareness Days, we're bringing Ag Awareness Day back on May 26th like we used to have for the K through 6th graders from all 3 elementary schools, and our new ag teacher is hosting that, so we're excited about that. The fishing derby is back again this year. For our 4th graders, I think they have enough water and open chain, so that's where they're planned to go. We also are bringing back after COVID, our LHS graduates walking through our elementary schools after their graduation practice. And we've had that in the past, it's been really cool. We have boat safety with Ryan Tag, we have bike day, we have all kinds of different little field trips for the little guys. And that's kind of what's going on. We have our year-end awards assemblies for Union and Hay going on as well on those last days of school, and then Union always goes to CC Camp for a picnic. We just completed our math and reading professional development this week with our consultants, and we've kind of rolled this around. You guys have been on the board for a little while, but I don't know if people on here on the big screen know that what we do with those consultants is they target our younger teachers, but they also work with our seasoned teachers, and they go in and teach and co-teach with our teachers as reading and math consultants, and then debrief with them, and they observe them teaching to help improve their skills in those areas. Let's see. We are planning professional development for our reading adoption, which will happen in the fall, and math and mentoring new teachers. We feel pretty strongly about mentoring. We're going to have a bunch of new teachers, and we have got to create a more holistic approach in how we're mentoring those new teachers so we can retain more of them. We are getting close to being hired at the elementary level. We're getting there. Not fully, but we're getting there. We plan to host summer school for somewhere between 175 students, 190 students. It'll be a little over 200 when we bring in the kinder camp because we'll have 8 grade levels running. Right now we're just going to have 7. It looks like maybe 2 Ks and 2 firsts, depending on where I place those folks. Our first session is June 13th, the Monday right after school gets out, until June 30th. Session 2 will be August 8th to August 18th, and we're almost fully staffed for that. We're getting real close to being fully staffed for that.
I want to get it.
We were at almost 200 last year too.
It's great.
But this year we've been given more flexibility to really target more remediation, and so we are sending letters to students and inviting them to come based on several academic criteria so that we can help fill those gaps for those kids. We're making it. The teachers are really filling those gaps. It's just a slow process, and if we can push this forward a little quicker, we're going to use summer school to do that. I didn't get to meet with Dr. Hartley the other day because I was down at the ESD doing transition meetings. I'm very excited to work with Dr. Hartley. And then Jen Schultz and I did have the opportunity when she was here to work together on a grant. So it'd be great to have them on board. Anything else, Mr. Counts, that you would like to add?
No, ma'am, thank you.
Any questions?
No, I think I'm good. Okay. Is Jen married to Dean?
Dean.
Oh, okay. He's in my class.
Dean, Damon.
They're all
They're all Ds, yeah.
Yeah.
What's Danny's?
Dan.
Danny.
Okay.
My turn?
Sure.
Okay, so we have a ton of events at the high school going on too, with all the end of the year awards and senior events, and some of ours overlap with what Susan already mentioned, so I'll be brief with those. We are also participating in the Teen Truth Assembly, and we have similar topics that we have chosen with the bullying and the vaping, because those are some issues that we're continuing to see in our building as well. We also have awards assemblies coming up for seniors as well as the 7th through 11th graders. Last week, I attended the Seropolis Girls Luncheon at the Elks Lodge, and it was a really amazing experience. We had a great speech from our own teacher, Kelly Hall, and she did a really good job representing successful women and motivating our graduating girls to chase their dreams. Today, I went to the Rotary and Lions Luncheon with Mr. Carter, and he gave a great speech. And then tomorrow, we have our annual Mother's Luncheon for seniors. All of these senior events, I included a senior calendar of events with it's the blue and yellow paper up there, just outlining all of the events for seniors throughout the rest of the year. We have a middle school dance this Friday from 7:45 to 10 in the DMS gym. So we've had lots of dances this year and it's been a lot of fun. We have another really big event coming up next week called Operation Prom Night, and I remember I mentioned it a few months back when we were preparing for it, and I have a flyer on that as well. So it's May 17th and 18th, so it'll be next Tuesday and Wednesday. On the 17th, we have the part that's called Every 15 Minutes, which is supposed to be representative of the lives lost every 15 minutes due to driving under the influence. And we have some chosen students who are participating in the event to be pulled out of class to represent a fatality, as well as our simulation on May 18th at the fairgrounds. And again, the purpose of this event is to bring awareness to the dangers of driving while under the influence in preparation for prom on May 21st and then graduation coming up as well. We also have our end of the year FFA banquet, which is May 18th at 6 p.m. in the LHS cafeteria. We have a spring concert where our band and choir students will be performing on May 24th at 6:30 in the DMS gym. And again, we have prom coming up May 21st. They've decided to have prom at the New Idaho Grange, and their theme is Enchanted Forest, Enchanted Garden, something like that. We also have a blood drive May 25th and 26th, and you can register online, or you can see Lisa Schellenberger or her Honor Society students to register if you want to donate blood. We are also doing the Ag Awareness Day, as Susan mentioned, and this is the day where all the K through 6th graders come over to the high school. They go through different stations, learning about different parts of agriculture, presented by high school students. And Miss Wright, Mr. Vickerman, and Mrs. Bauer will be helping with that as well. That's Thursday, May 26th. It goes 8 until noon. And there's a bunch of different booths that talk about a variety of different topics. There's a stick horse race, ice cream making, chickens, pigs, horseshoes, welding, ag trivia, just all kinds of things. Some other senior events. June 1st is Senior Checkout Day. Our senior awards night is at 6 p.m. in the LHS gym. Senior sunset we have. June 2nd is the senior picnic. June 3rd, the father's breakfast. And we have graduation practice. And then that walkthrough that Susan mentioned at the elementary school. And then June 4th is the graduation parade and the actual ceremony, which is all on that schedule as well. And then we have the color run coming up June 5th from noon to 5. I'm sure there's other things that I totally forgot to mention because we have so much going on. But any questions?
No, sounds good.
Yeah.
It is, very much so.
Mr. Rhodes.
I'll tack on to that. We did have 6th graders up for the orientation. That went well. Then we had parents come in that next night as well. So we hosted some 6th grade parents in our library and answered questions about coming into 7th grade next year. I felt like we had a pretty good talk with a lot of them and answered a lot of questions. And one of the pluses when we were in the cafeteria was anyway, we were together in the library. That's where it was. One of the 6th graders said, you know what, I was pretty nervous, but now I'm pretty excited. And so that was a plus when they turn around like that and feel comfortable and ready to go for the next year. And then we held some transition IEPs with those 6th grade students with IEPs. And yeah, successful teacher appreciation week and lunches and certified staff got some nice kind of, I don't know what you call those, insulated cups/bottles from the district office. So that was really nice. Yeah. And for the academy, our students are finishing up online. Like Chalice's students, we have 2 that are done, complete with their classes already, and 1 has decided to earn another high school credit, or half credit rather, enroll in a course with just 2 months left, and so they're just booking it through this to try to earn this credit before school is out. They're like, you know what, I'm done with everything else, put me in another. So it's great to see that type of initiative. With Miss Melsness and Miss Warner, we have our projected numbers for elementary grades next year and a budget estimate. We will continue to use Edgenuity for those 3 through 12, and then FLVS for the little guys. And then Edgenuity will be in use over the summer for that credit recovery piece in summer school for kiddos. The athletic seasons are gearing up for playoffs. In fact, this week, this Friday, Saturday is the district track meet over in Grants Pass at Hidden Valley. So they are headed off pretty soon, and baseball and softball are finishing up. It's kind of fast and furious as May is for the previously mentioned reasons and all the spring sports that happen. We've had a lot of reschedules because of our crazy weather. So baseball has a lot going on in the next 10 days, but they're both poised to be league champions and have a pretty good playoff spot.
Great. Anything else interesting going on?
Do we need more?
Well, you're gonna make me start looking at handbooks.
So you're stalling.
I can do anything but the handbook.
We make it really fast.
Okay. Highlights. All right, on to the good stuff. This smells this.
How's everybody this evening?
Page 25. Let me look and see what you're gonna tell us.
So, the first thing that I want to hit on is there's a cafeteria financial status report. I don't know if it's first or the last piece of my attachments there. But anyway, this is a reconciliation of fiscal year 2021. And so it's after audit. And I have to do this anyway for budget purposes anyway, to see where we are by the per school. So Union, 80 Fremont, and then the high school, VMS and LHS. And so bottom line here is there's a couple of things that I really kind of wanted to touch on. A lot of things are changing for 22-23. We were involved with waivers, which is much with most of the state, as far as 2021 and 21-22 school years for an all-free situation with all students were considered free. So they got a free lunch, free breakfast, etc. And so those waivers are going away. So 22-23 we return to business as usual with application processes and qualifying for free and reduced lunches and that sort of thing. Now, the thing that Mr. Carter and I have talked about is it's always hard to pull back and say, well, now it's not all free.
You don't get this.
So I don't know how this is going to play out, but the other thing that we are up against is in order to be all free, we have to be 40% free to the state standards. Well, the state standards are anything that maybe is directly certifying them. So SNAP, TANF, those programs that are available to those families that would make them automatically free in our system. Well, those are not showing up like they used to, but I would suspect that application process will put us back over the 40%. So I'm just bracing you for the whole application process. It starts all over again. Luckily, it's online and that sort of thing. So I mean, that takes a little bit out of it, but it is frustrating, especially for those parents when we come off of 2 years of free lunches and, breakfast and that sort of thing. So it's going to be tough and it's going to be a struggle, but I did want to bring that to everybody's attention. And I think that they have tried to get the waivers to go through, and the waivers are not going through. I think that's the last
thing
that we got was nope, not happening. Back to business as usual. So unfortunately, we have to hit that 40% or above that 40% in order to do that. So we haven't had that for the last 2 years. So we start over. Kind of, this is how I look at it as far as, qualifying kiddos for the free and reduced lunches. So, but I just wanted to bring it to your guys' attention and kind of give this year-end report from 2021. Union makes out like a bandit down there. They are my only positive ending balance at 88,000, but it's kind of a good deal because there's 45, 50 kids out there, and so the reimbursement rate has helped us out with them immensely because Union has traditionally not been a predominantly free and reduced in the first place, and so so that 88,000 is actually helping our bottom line with with the other two schools. So Hay is our biggest one, which is its negative 62,000 ending the year, and then of course the high school at 28,000. The difference is all of those little guys eat at 80 Hay and Fremont, and then of course the DMS or at the high school more so probably they go off campus and eat or go home or whatever they do. So at the end, 2365.85 in the red, 2,365 in the red, cash basis. If we didn't do the transfers out of the general fund, we would be a negative 106,000. So the transfers have to stay, which reconciling the budget for 21-22 and creating the new one for 22-23, these transfers are not as big as they used to be. So that was also helpful in our budget process with the cafeteria fund. So is there any questions on that? I just kind of wanted to bring that to the forefront just so that it's on everybody's mind that it's going to change again.
It's just not great timing. Inflation.
It's terrible.
Especially summer school coming up.
Yes.
Starts June 30th. So we'll get it for the first summer session. We'll get it.
What about the hospital with their lunch program?
I don't know.
Well, for the summer,
They get
probably
the grant, but I don't know what's gonna happen next year. Next year I'm going after the grant, so. Cover that.
Any other questions or comments? I'm kind of the depressing one, huh? Sorry. Sorry. All right. So moving on to if you guys are okay, moving on to the general fund. So lots of things is happening in those last few days. We appear in this report to be still negative cash, but there's a couple of things. There's a couple of highlights that has actually happened in the last week or so. They have made new findings, legislation, however you want to say that, in the federal forest fees. They are no longer counting those against us. So what that means is state school fund is dollar for dollar for any local funds. They consider the federal forest fees a local fund, just like our taxes, our taxes that we collect. They have pulled those out of that equation. That is for us to keep. And then all we're doing is the tax base here. So they went back a few years, so there's gonna be a reconciliation process. They had already done the 2021, which in May, we always have that true up situation from our audit, and then they true that up in May for us that following year. We started out, we were a negative 116,000, so we were gonna owe the state back 116,000. With the true up, with the federal forest fees, we are now flush at 170,000. So there's a few positive things coming out of this in the last week, which means that they will go back, I wanna say it was 17-18, is that?
17-18.
So they went clear back to 17-18 on those federal forest fees. So what that number is.
Federal forest fees is also SRNs, right?
Yeah.
Secure real estate.
So they're gonna go through that back up. So we're gonna end up getting money back off of that federal, or back from the state school fund for the federal forest fees
So
that we already
this-
accounted for.
So this minus 386 or whatever that slide says, it's hard to read.
It is very tiny. it puts us in a better position.
So we might just be like
Flush.
minus 150.
Maybe. But it does make us a little bit better than what you are seeing here in this negative
Right.
300,000. Yes, correct. So we've done a couple of things. We've also implemented a freeze on spending. What that means is general fund. And what that means is that if it is not absolutely necessary, like
For operation.
you have to have it for your classroom, okay, it's case by case by case. If you are Measure 98, if you are, I don't even want to say career pathways because that's not a good example either, but if you are SIA, if you are any of those components, we are spending there because of the fact that we have to have all of this spent down by 6/30/21. So they've been pretty good about getting us reimbursements that way. The ones that are holding us up a little bit are the ESSER 2 and the ESSER 3 funds, and I'm not 100% sure why we're holding up on those, but they are very, 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 very slow to process, like probably a couple of months now.
So that was something that we talked about last month,
Exactly.
was the same thing if we weren't getting that, and so we still haven't seen a big.
And we talked to the deputy sheriff today, and they hired 9 people last week just for procurement, because they can't get them, they got so many contracts and budget, they can't get it done. So it's a government bureaucracy. We found out today, we went in writing that CTE, which we thought we had to spend by the 30th, they told us to be next year by the 30th. So once we get that in writing, we'll share that with you, but until I see it in writing,
Yeah.
I just don't know. So it's just, we're grant rich and cash poor.
Exactly.
Waiting on the grants.
Waiting on the grants, exactly.
And I pointed out the small schools, it might not be a big thing, you got some of the bigger districts with cash carryover that's huge and the bigger budget, but 24,000, 36,000, 105,000 was huge for us.
Yeah, it is. And the SIA did come through, finally. My concern with them is that one is a very funky drawdown, deal. You either draw down 25%, certain times it's 50%, and then the next time it's 75%, and then I'll guarantee you by June 30th, they will be squawking for us to pull down 100% of it. So I was a little concerned because we weren't spending it all. Well, the nice thing about budgeting, in all honesty, is I go in and I start reconciling some of those things and go, wait a minute, we didn't pull enough here. Wait a minute, this person isn't even being coded here. So we do those jockeying around and that sort of thing. So that also worked in our favor because we weren't at half of that 639,000. We weren't half yet. And so that made me very nervous. And so when we went in and was reconciling, figured out I did have a couple of people we weren't billing there. And so that helped us out. That got us to the half. So I could pull down 320,000 and that made me feel better. So as we get to the end, of course, June is a big payroll. There's payroll coming out of that. So we look a lot better in the SIA. So that has helped coming forward. And that just came through here
2 days ago.
2 weeks ago that I got it.
Yeah, you got the email.
Yeah. So it's the struggle bus is real, but
We're also paying more for fuel.
yes.
And also our delivery for food.
Yeah.
Things that we didn't budget, so that's taking us down, but we looked at it, like I said, I'm at 17.2 something million. I think she's gonna be over that, so that's good.
For the new coming budget.
Our reserves are not gonna be as high as we want, but we also know we have a lot of money coming in.
So at any rate, so those are some highlights that I figured out. Did do the amended budget, and I apologize that I didn't get it on this meeting, but it is done, finally, today at 4:45. I mean, it was close.
We'll have to wait next month.
So in June, when, hopefully when we adopt our 22-23, we can adopt that amended budget, and it does look a little bit better. We've saved in some places, and like I said, we've moved some things, so it looks a little bit different than how we presented it at the beginning of the year, or, last year at this time.
But we we've actually provided the mental health services is what the money was for, so we've already ahead of other districts. We've hired 2 at the elementary and ours.
Okay, so anyway, just a real quick rundown. Month to date revenues, $8,529,000. This is of course effective March 31st, 22. Month to date expenditures, $816,000. So we're up by $74,000 at the end of the day, and a little bit over our plan, favorably in the revenues by $463, but I'm gonna take that $463. I take whatever I can get. Year to date revenues overall year to date were a negative $35,000. Those are those local resources, and I think I've preached to the choir about this in that regards. The state resources, which is that state school fund, it is low, but we reduced our ADM because we don't want to take a big hit next May.
we don't pay.
Yeah. Then of course we're up on salaries and payroll, benefits. Those are huge. And then the other categories in our expenditures is not sitting that bad actually. That's where we see most of our expenditures is in those salaries and payrolls or benefits, excuse me. Year-to-date revenues were about 82% collected, and then locally is 93%, and then our state sources is about 80% collected. This month will be our last for till July, and then we'll get a double payment in July. So we had to play this really carefully going into June as far as making sure that we can make the payroll. Because I'll guarantee you, if you don't pay them, they won't come back. So, expenditures totally 52%, and then of course salaries and benefits at 61%, and then all the other objects is about 53%. And we've kind of covered this whole negative situation back here, so I'm not gonna push on that any further, but that's where we are sitting. It does look a little bit better as I did the amended budget and kind of looking through, and if we can get everything collected by June 30th, we'll probably be a little bit better than, anticipate here.
So you anticipate keeping in spending spree freeze throughout the rest of the year?
No. The rest of this year, we just don't know. We get the forecast next week.
Okay.
So, but right now, until if they paid us off for 2 of the big grants, we'd be better. Yeah. We're just waiting for 2 big grants.
But you needed to do that until you got it.
Yeah. Until you gotta have that $20 in your wallet, otherwise you don't feel comfortable.
And like I said, we are doing, case by case scenarios. So, I mean, if it's
A couple reimbursements, like I said, we can take it out of 98, like she mentioned. We can take it out of certain things. And that's hard for teachers to understand and admin.
right.
That how come you can
It's all
reimburse?
one chunk of it.
Yeah, you reimburse somebody, not this one. Well, if you think it's general fund, we're just not touching the reimbursement right now. Questions? We good? Okay.
Highlight. It's about as good as them
Oh, yeah.
handbooks.
There you go.
Setting the mood for you.
Okay, so now we're gonna go to some old business.
Well, the instructional calendar, we want to thank the ESD for calling us on that, letting us know. North Lake got it right, but the rest of us got it wrong, but it only happens every 9 years or something like that. That spring break is the 4th week of March. So we had to
This year it's the 4th week.
coming up, so we have to move that. That will change the grade date. You'll see that, move the grade date to March 31st. From 31st to 24th. And then basically the spring break is 27th. So.
Bless you.
Okay, pretty straightforward.
So I moved to, ready for it?
Yep.
I move to approve the updated 2022-23 instructional calendar and the spring break dates from March 20th through the 24th to March 27th through the 31st, which aligns with the state of Oregon spring break. Also moving grade day March 31st to March 24th as presented.
I'll second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the updated 22-23 instructional calendar, moving spring break dates from March 20th and to the 24th, to the 27th and the 31st, and which aligns with the state of Oregon spring break, and moving grade day from March 31st to March 24th as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries.
So the next one is, Madam Chairman, about the donation for Dr. Daly's stuff, and Ken's will bring it up to let you see it.
Okay.
And then what's gonna happen is, rather than keep it in our safe here, Ms. Gerber had a great idea to actually put it out where it needs to be seen. So
Oh, wow.
we would like to put that in the museum, and that way people can see it, otherwise no one's enjoying it. They come and borrow it every year, when they're doing the daily funds, put it out in the exhibit, it just doesn't make sense to us. And also, which is, why do we have a store here? We need to
Right.
put it somewhere else to use. So if the board gives permission, we'll do that, and then there'll be a, we'll have Barb Simpson and Marie Lee, I think, is that right? Are gonna meet with you later and get photo ops and show it.
They want to get the like the display case and everything all ready, and then have you and maybe Barry too, and any of the other board members join them for a kind of a pass-off photo. So, and Kevin, or I don't think Kevin gets to be with us, but maybe Daniel. So,
Okay, I guess I think that's a great idea. The only thing that, at one point in time, there was discussion years back when there's no funding and they were gonna send everything off somewhere else, is that, if that thing closes down,
to get to
they give it back to us.
absolutely,
It all comes back to us.
Would be my only thing is, we don't need
That's
to,
the way That's the way it's written.
okay.
Mhm.
And I've also found out that there really isn't that much memorabilia on Dr. Daly.
So this is
So
very
We
rare.
have the
very
most.
nice.
Mm-hmm.
These are really good pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. Okay, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the donation of the Dr. Daly's watch and collection of the annuals from LCSD 7 to Treatment Museum as presented.
A second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the donation of Dr. Daly's watch and the collection of annuals from Lakeview School District 7 to the Schmink Museum as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries.
So Madam Chairman, on the handbooks, if we're ready to start about that, what we're talking about here is they spent a lot of time with committees. They've got it, the overall theme is we're tightening up student management on all districts. So that's it. I know you guys have read all those things and seen them, so.
Give us
Start with elementary. Questions you might have on.
Any examples?
Give us a couple examples.
Page 27 in the elementary handbook, additions of parent-teacher conferences and staff absences. We're tightening up and clarifying when you can be gone, when you can't. We want teachers present for parent-teacher conferences unless it's something that we can justify as admin, otherwise they need to be there. We are.
Frustrates parents when there's no teacher there.
Yeah, and do you want us to go through handbooks like we normally do, or just?
A couple highlights.
Okay, I was gonna be really brief, I really was, I had it down to nothing. Pages 10 and 15, we added a hold drill according to I Love You Guys, just the recommendation on them, and it's just a hold in your classroom until we can sort something out in the hallway with a student, something where kid's violent, or in our case, having a seizure or something like that. So it's just a hold drill. Then we, on page 21, 22, we went through and did some group stuff with the high school and just added some very common language with copy machines, custodial services, monies receipted, some minor things like that. And then we added cafeteria behavior. We've experienced some discipline issues this year that have been unprecedented, as far as just kids not being respectful of authority, kids not being very kind to each other, and so we just put some stronger cafeteria language about how they would behave in our cafeterias. And then we talked about page 27, and then page 28 and page 30 just clarified certified and classified what you can use annually for, that you absolutely have to have that pre-approved. and then the types of leave, and clean some of that language up, and it's consistent with high school handbook.
It will also help us when we pass our MOU next month, and we want to give you 2 months to look at that MOU with the proposed pilot for the classified, so.
Have we got any traction and moved forward with the same opportunity and structure for the certified?
What we're gonna do is, next month, we want to give you plenty of time, so it's one of the future agenda items. I added that we have to add this MOU, for OSCA, and then we'll start that as a Juneteenth piece in there, because we have classified for year-round employees. And then that will give us a chance to modify it this summer, and then bring it to, we have to let the union, she's bringing it to her union, which is Reynolds and the region. So once they get back to us, we'll go from there.
Do you guys have any questions about the elementary the changes for the elementary staff handbook? Something exciting's going on.
Okay. Yeah, so this is for our staff handbook for DMS LHS.
Hold on, man.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah, we better we
Oh, yeah. True, yeah, thank you.
we gotta do them separately here. So we need a motion for the elementary.
I move to approve the 2022-23 elementary staff handbook as presented.
I'll second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the 2022-23 elementary staff handbook as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries.
We appreciate the work, it's a lot of work to do this. This was not one of those hour meetings, this is days.
Okay, so on to the high school and middle school.
Okay. So our
So
list
is
of-
that, I think that they're out of order in here.
Yes, I think our staff handbook is first.
Yours
Pages
is
30 and
first,
31
yeah.
are our edits.
Okay,
And then our handbook starts on page 32.
okay, got it. So I got your list of edits here.
So some of those big ones, we're moving some sections of this to the online version in order to kind of condense that staff handbook. So there are several sections that are somewhat all encompassing for the district, staff list of just staff members, the philosophy, mission statement. We'll put in the online version, trying to condense the one that teachers have when we copy and get to them to a little bit more manageable piece. Have made some updates to guidelines and responsibilities, expectations for teachers, requiring teachers to attend parent-teacher conferences, for example, to echo Susan's, requiring staff members to enter substitutes, absences into the Ready Sub system, expecting that as soon as possible in order to facilitate the procurement of a substitute for their classes. If you go to the second page there, some of the other major ones, we're referencing the discipline matrix. When Ms. Holzman came in, she brought with her a discipline matrix from previous experiences, and we referred to that a lot this year to help guide teachers and what to handle in the classroom, what to seek help for, how to address certain discipline situations. And so that wasn't referenced previously. We're making sure that's in there. Also, big clarification on leaves. Referencing the CBA regarding annual leave, adding a list of blackout days as well, which are not possible for those annual leaves. For example, grade days prior to immediately after major vacations, things like that. And then we are creating, Cody Blair has worked really hard on this, creating a new coach and advisor handbook. So a separate piece, because pretty good portion of this, pages 22 through 26, are for coaches and advisors. And we're going to separate that out and make a separate coach
When a
handbook.
coach gets hired, he or she will sign this code of conduct and they'll be taught it.
So those are the major ones. Any questions on any of the others?
And then we've already set up in our in-service schedule, we set time up, we're gonna actually go over this in the buildings with each staff.
So staff has helped, teachers have helped.
For a staff handbook, has been more administration. Student handbook has been staff a lot, yes. A lot.
But the unions have been done. Yes.
Okay. I move to approve the 2022-23 LHS DMS staff handbook as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the 2022-23 LHS DMS staff handbook as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, summer learning grant.
Well, it came out on Thursday, and I turned it in on Friday. So I wrote it and turned it in on Friday. We were the first district in the state turned it in, so
Nice.
we might get some modifications on it. It's in back, but I wanted to make sure we got our money going, so we're there. And they sent us an email saying that they should release the money in the next 2 weeks.
So it looks like we need
To accept it, yes.
to accept the motion.
Move to accept the summer learning grant awarded by ODE in the amount of $132,181.68 and meet the state requirement to provide a 25% match of $33,045.42.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to accept the summer learning grant awarded by ODE in the amount of $132,181.68 and meet the state requirement to provide a 25% match of $33,045.42 as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right. Consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Announcements.
Well, Monday, the 16th, first budget meeting. We have our first one at 5:30 at
Oh
the
gosh, that's this coming Monday.
it's Monday at the
isn't it?
library. Yeah,
That
and
would
we're
be
gonna really focus on the general budget, and then we'll go in the category of budget the next meeting, so that we cover everything. Because that way we can get it out to the public, and people are asking where the ESSER money is going and all that. We want to just make sure we take the time to explain that to them. Because last year I felt we rushed it pretty hard
Where's it gonna be?
in the library,
Library.
5:30.
Can't make the second one.
That's the only announcement.
Yeah, you can.
Okay. Next board meeting agenda items.
Like to have those three things added, Madam Chairman, and we also would like to add the MOU, the draft MOU pilot project, Flex Lead MOU draft that we sent a couple months ago. So we'd like to add that to the agenda so we get that passed, so it will affect hopefully for the rest of the summer, and then we can make adjustments.
Okay, sounds good.
I think the school should adopt the budget, in the June meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, we might as well put that in there, it's in there, but
Yeah.
so we can add that if you don't mind, Ms. Gerber, at the budget meeting, because that would really get a little.
Okay, that sounds good. Anything else for the good of the order? Nope. Alrighty, I think that we can adjourn.
Yeah.